Adobe Illustrator Extension Task Step 4, Adding the Detail. Go to the Layers palette and click on the Gra layer to make it active. Control-Shift-A to make sure everything is deselected. Using the Pen tool to draw the shape of half a leaf. Control-Shift-A to deselect. Draw the second half of the leaf. And use the gradient tool to rotate the gradient so it's coming from a different angle. Use the selection tool to move one half of the leaf over the other half. And match them up so they look like they make one whole leaf. I'm just going to change this gradient again. To select one half of the leaf, hold the Shift key down and select the other half so they're both halves of the leaf are selected. Right click and select Group. These should now move as one leaf unit. To create the look of 3 dimensions, we're going to select the brush tool. Make sure everything is deselected by doing Control-Shift-A. The brush tool. And choose a white line, and we are going to paint a white line on the leaf. If you don't want it to be that thick, you can always make it narrower. With the line selected, go to the gradient palette, select linear. Now it's going to show as green because that was the last gradient that we did, but we want to change it to white. Gradient, click on the gradient. If it's still showing green, it doesn't matter. You want to add in another crayon in the middle. Double click on it, change it to white, change the opacity to 50%. Go to the crayon on the right, double click on it, change it to white, leave its opacity at 100%. Then go to the crayon on the left, change it to white, and its opacity should be 0%. And you should now find that your line fades through from transparent to a solid white color. You can do the outline as a strike through. Make sure that the stroke is selected, and then you're just left with the small shape as the highlight. And you can see it here. Control-Shift-A to deselect. If you want to move the highlight at all, you can. Quite easy to do that. I'm going to use the Ellipse tool, so hold down the rectangle tool, select the ellipse, and we're going to draw a small ellipse on one part of the leaf. And if it doesn't have a white gradient, select this middle button here. If you wish to change the angle of the gradient, click on the gradient tool, adjust the gradient to the direction you require. I'm quite happy with how mine is there. I'm going to zoom in even closer onto that droplet because I want to add some more droplets onto there. So I'm going to Control-Shift-A to deselect, Ellipse tool again, and I'm going to put a small ellipse here and another small ellipse here. I'm going to select all 3 ellipses. I'm going to choose the black selection tool, hold the Shift key down, and make sure all 3 ellipses are selected. I'm going to right click and group, and then I'm going to Control-C and copy. Control-Alt-0 to zoom out. Zoom in on the leaf. Now we want to add another water droplet to the leaf, so I'm going to add another one in, move it, zoom in a little more, and with the selection tool I'm just going to reduce the size of this water droplet a little bit. I'm going to select the entire leaf, right click and group it, so now the whole thing will move as one unit. I want to Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, Object, Transform, Reflect. I'm going to reflect it through vertical, so now I have 2 leaves. And I'm just going to angle them slightly and put one up here and the other one here. So they're above my grass. I'm going to zoom in onto this region here. Now I want to add some stalks in to make the leaves look like they're growing out of the G. To get my gradient back to green in this bottom palette here, double click on one of the letters and you should see it'll go back to green here. Go to your pen tool, and now when you draw you should get a fill automatically in your stalk that you're going to draw. So with my pen I'm going to draw a stalk that goes from the G back to the stalk. Control Shift A to deselect. Want to select the whole thing. You may wish to change the gradient around, so remember to click on the stalk, click on the gradient, and then use the gradient tool to rotate the color. And I think I'll have the darker at the top and the lighter at the bottom. Then with the stalk still selected, I'm going to arrange and center back. So I now have my stalk behind here. I want another stalk for the other leaf, so I'm going to do the same thing again. Now you can see I have my two leaves growing out of my G. You can add more small details like smaller vines growing out of your letters or wrapping around your letters, and you can also add more water drops to other parts of the letters as well. Keep applying decoration until your grass looks something like this.